Sometimes I wonder, well, every time I make the video in this series, I wonder, is this the last video? And it just carries on. And so there's overviews of overviews of overviews. We're getting higher and higher as we go. So, in the last video, we talked about mana and the difference between someone who has it and someone who doesn't have it. And the lowest of the low, the worst kind of possible person in the world, is a white South African teaching people how to drop out of work and become a parasite on society and join his goat academy. Now, there's sheep and there's goats, yeah, and the goats are the diddies of this world, yeah. They're the son of a gun, the son of the devil, and they're parasites on the world, yeah. They don't produce, don't create anything, yeah. They just suck the lifeblood out of the planet. And you'll see them all driving around in demonic vehicles. There's a new kind of car or automobile on the market now, on the road now, okay, which is evil. It's just evil. It's what you call demonic sculpture, demonic artwork. And everything about it just says, I am evil. And I'm a giant. It says, I'm a giant and I am evil. And normally those vehicles are black. Yeah. In the Maori of New Zealand, there are two types of Tohunga. There is the light Tohunga, which is what I'm talking about, and there's the dark Tohunga. The dark Tohunga practices witchcraft and is able, for a price, to give you a spell, okay? Give you a spell that will destroy your enemies, enslave a woman to your power, bring you great wealth and fortune. All these things the dark Tohunga offers you, okay? At the price of your soul. You will sell your soul to the devil. And this is what many in the world have done, and all have done, who are driving those terrible cars that you would never ever buy. It doesn't matter how much money they offered you to take one, yeah, you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't be able to drive it because it wouldn't represent you. It's a goat car. It's not a sheep car. The sheep car is a divine object which is beautiful to look at. It's curvaceous. It's stylish. It's wonderful. And this thing that I'm talking about is the opposite. Quite often it has the letters BMW on it, okay? I think you know what I'm talking about. Now, Phoenix's Goat Academy is the place where goats go to learn how to be ravenous goats, chewing through everything in the world. Because what they learn in Goat Academy is how to buy and sell on the stock market, buy and sell slaves on the stock market, to make money from the trade just by the stock market moving up and down like this. They're surfing the waves, making money, okay? Money for nothing. And it's just as bad as Diddy, which is you chicks for free, yeah? It's just as bad. It's a criminal enterprise because it doesn't create anything. what it does is it ensures that people are enslaved in these businesses which they're buying and selling, and it takes money away from the poor. That's what it does, because it pushes the price of everything up. It's simply an overhead on the world. If somebody makes money for nothing, it did nothing, it created nothing, now they've got a pile of money, yeah, and they go out and consume, yeah, where's it going to come from? Yeah, what have they done to create anything? Why do they deserve anything? They've taught nothing but a lie that this is going to make, this is the best way to go through the world, yeah? Day trading or stock market trading. All those people in the Senate, in our American Israel, they're all doing it, they're all up to it. And what they do in the new law that they've passed in Trump's big beautiful bill, which is the opposite of what he says is going to free up billions of dollars on the big bankers' balance sheets, okay? So that they can then put that out to lend to people, okay? And what that does is it puts the American people, not the government. The government's here today, gone tomorrow, yeah? It doesn't exist, the government. It's just a fake organisation. And what's happening is at the end of the day, we are holding the debt. Whatever debt the Federal Reserve gets into, it's us. We're left holding it. Yeah. When all those people, all those companies leave Africa and say, "Oh, to hell with you," the African people are holding the debt, not the businesses. Not the businesses. Yeah. Not the rich. The rich don't have the debt. The people sit with that debt, okay? They call it government debt. It's not government debt. The government's gone tomorrow. Trump's out and away. They're not there. The government employees, oh, we're off to Bali now, see you later. Yeah? They're not holding the debt. The government doesn't hold the debt. The people left at the bottom hold the debt. The ones who can't go to Bali or their escape hatch in New Zealand, they're the ones holding the debt. The ones still living in the country that they destroyed. Yeah, our American Israel destroyed. Yeah, and they take the system with them wherever they go, and it's immoral. It enslaves the workers. And it allows the rich people to make money for nothing by stock market trading. And it should be illegal. It shouldn't be allowed to buy and sell for profit. Okay? And how do you stop people buying and selling for profit? You shouldn't be buying and selling companies in the first place. All companies need is a source of finance. If they need money to expand, the government bank should give them the money to expand, yeah? Lend it to them until their production can pay the principal back. It doesn't need to make any interest, yeah? And so the banking system is completely corrupt. The banking system is an evolution of the moneylenders in the temple in Jerusalem, which is the new Babylon, yeah? It's their mindset, it's their evolution, it's their science, if you like. The science of speculation. Yeah? Now, to speculate means to think of the future whilst doing nothing in the present. Yeah? That means to speculate. You're not doing anything. If I was speculating about the future now, I wouldn't be able to make this video. I wouldn't have the energy to make it. I'd be using up my energy doing nothing, just making an idea about the future. Yeah? That's speculation. And reality is what we're all doing. Reality is work. Work. The Victorians did a lot of work. They actually created stuff, yeah. There's nothing being created now, and the stuff that is being created is probably all got to come down, probably can't be maintained. All these terrible cars that nobody will want because they're only made for the parasites in this world. No creator would want to be seen dead in one, or would want one at all. They're worthless objects and they'll never be looked after, they'll never be valued by anybody, they'll just have to be put into the crusher. And that's why they all have such big grills on the front of them, because they're munching up the world. Now, this is what happened to the world before the great flood of Noah. The great flood of Noah, Noah was part of the people who were supposed to be watching over the world, the watchers. They were the natural order of poets, bards and druids, whose job is to watch over, to make sure that everything's good in the world, that this virtue that is being performed, not vice, yeah? That the ditties of this world are reined in and corrected. Now, the Watchers became the giants. Their descendants evolved into giants. The same way as Israel has evolved into giants now. Okay, the Israel temple of Jerusalem has evolved into the giants, the new giants. And you can see they own gigantic enterprises, yeah? Airbnb, eBay, Google, Microsoft, OTAN. OTAN is their biggest enterprise, yeah? OTAN. Oh, the great Taniwha, the great devil, worshipping gold and money itself. Looking to the future, how is my money pile growing? Instead of getting on with the job of making the world a better place. Like Julius Malimo. The only way I can remember his name is because it's male mother, Malimo. Julius Malimo is busy working all the time to try to correct the error in the world. Yeah? And the error in the world is like a white South Africa or an Israeli Palestine, yeah, or a OTAN dominated world order instead of a multipolar gathering together of nations of the world all working together, which was the original notion of the United Nations. Yet the United Nations, of course, has no power to enforce its rulings. And so that's because of the greatest power in the world, OTAN, the great Taniwha, won't support the rulings of the UN. Okay? It has grown too big for its boots. And so all organizations are false, and this one in particular is the greatest, falsest organization. That's why it's got the name the opposite of what it is, the reverse. OTAN is its name. The great dragon of the world. Yeah? and the whore that rides on its back. The share market system, the system of the share market. The great slave ship, spaceship, because you can't see it, it's hidden in space. You don't see it plying the oceans, or you see its product plying the oceans, the great big gigantic vessels containing all these demonic cars coming from China into the rest of the world for the rich and the wasteful. To consume, and they'll consume the whole world. That's what they said that the giants did at the time of Noah. They were all destroyed in the flood of Noah. And it was a time of Enoch. Enoch had my job really. Enoch. Enoch was the one who chastised the giants. Said they should have been the watchers. He had to give the watchers the hard word. Like I'm having to give O10 the hard word. Yeah? These people are supposed to be watching over the fate and the good of the world, but actually the opposite of what they say they are. Witchcraft is what's going on here. Everything is a lie. Why can't they just tell the truth? Because the truth is evil. They're all working together in a conspiracy, an organization. The truth is not savoury. They cannot tell the truth. It's evil. And so they ought to not exist. That's the fact of it. If there's to be any virtue in the world, OTAN has to go. The EU has to go. America has to go. Israel has to go. And what needs to remain is the United Nations, the United States of the world. That's what we need to end up with. The United States of the world, not America, not Israel, not OTAN. These are organized crime, right, against the people that they are a parasite on the back of. That's enough now. Okay, so today is the day that the defense of Didi puts forward its closing arguments in its case. Okay, and so they'll be saying that Didi was doing nothing except having a good time. Yeah, that's all it was, and just sharing it around with everybody else. That's what they're going to say. And he's sorry about, if he hurt anybody, but he didn't mean to, just lost his temper. And he hasn't really done anything wrong. He just running a business like every other business, like Microsoft, like OTAN, all these others. He's just running a business, yeah. And he's given a lot of money to charity too, they'll say. How he's benefited everybody with charity. And the poor never got a penny of it. No, never a penny of it. Yeah. Somehow his tax dollars were reduced to zero. And what he wanted to get done in the world got done through his fake charities. Alright? And if you go out into the world with nothing and you end up in a situation where you need charity, the worst place you could end up in is London. If you go and knock on all the doors of the charity, all you'll see is private security. They won't let you past the door, and you won't get a penny from any of the big charities of London. Not a penny. Not if you're starving on the street, will any one of those people help you. Yeah? I was shipwrecked in a foreign country. Yeah? I had to travel 300 miles to the nearest charitable organisation that had been created to help shipwrecked mariners. It's one of the oldest charities in the world. If you're shipwrecked somewhere, what happens is they pay your fare to get you home. I never got a penny. I went there, my boat sank. I was stuck in New Zealand. I didn't get a penny. I didn't get a penny. You have no idea how terrible it was to try and get out of there. Because New Zealand is a terrible place when it comes to generosity. Very ungenerous people in New Zealand. They haven't got much and they're not sharing it with any bastard. That's the way it is over there, yeah. Not with anyone. In fact, the overseas territories of the original countries, like if you say the original country is Germany, yeah, then they emigrated to Britain. So that's worse in virtue than Germany. Germany is more virtuous society than Britain. And then if you go, then Britain went to America. If you go to America, that's even less virtuous, even more evil society. And then if you go to Canada, that's even worse. And then if you go to Australia, that's even worse. And if you go to New Zealand, well, that's the bottom of the pit, yeah. That's my experience anyway, in terms of the generosity of the people. And if you want true generosity, you've probably got to go to Africa where they've got nothing. Because in Africa, they'll share their nothing with you, yeah? They'll give you a bit of rice if you're hungry, no problem. The Muslims are like that. The Muslims help each other. They help the foreigner. They help the stranger. You have no idea how good these people are, actually. Even though their religion is full of mistakes. As all religions are. Let's have a look what that's all about. Okay, well, it's talking about the return of the craftsman, because you can't buy anything that's any good anymore in the shops. Sometimes, if I buy shoes, quite often I end up having to get second-hand shoes to get the right quality. Yeah? And it says, I see my lady Elizabeth is showing me a picture of her shoes, and they're made from wood and leather. And it says she remembers wearing these kind of shoes in her early childhood. It says, my mother went with me to a shoemaker similar to a tailor for clothing, always in the beginning of the summertime. She would go in the beginning of the summertime for new shoes to be made. He measured my feet for making the wooden clock shoes. Personally, individually for me, what an experience. Okay, so in the olden days, these are ordinary people, yeah. Every year they would go to the shoemaker, an artist, a craftsman who would make new shoes specially designed to fit their feet. And they could afford to have that. Not just one pair, but a pair for the mother, a pair for each of the children, a pair for the father. Every year. Now, the world has changed for the poor. The rich, they have thousands of pairs of shoes. You know, that Marcos woman from the Philippines, she had the most shoes in the whole world. She had whole rooms, mansions, full from floor to ceiling with shoes. Yeah? But the people, they can't afford to buy shoes anymore. Yeah? And if they do buy shoes, they're made out of terrible artificial materials that make their feet sweat and grow their toes inwards and all sorts of bad stuff. So the world has to change. We've got to come back to the artist and the tradesperson around us. We need to go back to go forward. And it's not like we've lost these things, but these things are only available to the very, very, very wealthy. And they need to be made available to everybody. And The wealthy people need to be frugal. They only need one pair of shoes a year, and make sure that every other person has got one pair of shoes, and that all the people in Africa have got a pair of shoes if they need them, because maybe in Africa you don't need shoes. Shoes, you only need shoes in certain climates and certain geographical areas. If it's easy, if you're walking on soft sand in the desert, well, you probably need shoes because it's too hot to stand on. In some climates, it's okay to have no shoes. Yeah. All these rich people are thinking of nothing but themselves because they haven't found virtue. They haven't entered on the pathway to the natural order of poets, bards and druids. They've still got all their wealth. And Trump will never get a hat like mine until he gives away all his wealth, like I did. I had wealth. I had to give it away to become a leader of the people. He has to give his away. And, you know, I said you know. What I'm going to tell you, you know, is that Trump used to be a good speaker. He used to speak without paper, without words written on paper. And I haven't seen him in the past, I can't remember seeing him read from a piece of paper. And I watched his speech at OTAN, and he's reading from a piece of paper. Yeah, he's reading from a piece of paper. And if you watch that speech, you'll see he can't speak when he's reading from the piece of paper. It's just a mess. Yeah, and then when he looks up, he says something that he can't help himself. He says, NATO wrote this. Doesn't mean to say, but he just says it. He's just reading something that somebody else wrote. And his eyes are dark. And he's got no mana whatsoever. All his mana has been taken away. And he's just like in hell. In hell. It's a sad sight to see such a fallen man, a man who had great mana, fallen to the level of a boy wearing a silly hat, boy's hat. And it's simply because he never gave up his wealth. There's hope for everybody. He might decide to do it. He might say, I'm going to get rid of all my wealth and show the people I don't need it. You think he'll do that? You think if he did that, he'd ever be able to be president? Because the world's upside down, yeah? If he did that, he'd become a better man. He'd become eligible to be a leader of a great nation. As it is, he's what God has put into the position at this point in time, because he's kind of like a warrior messiah type. He's got to fight the fight. He's got to take the Americans to die in battle somewhere. He's not the peace messiah that we thought he was. He said he was going to be the peacemaker. Yet he's just a stooge for the war makers, that's all he is. And all he's doing is creating a lie that they intend peace when they actually intend war. So that's all you can think. And he's such a good liar about it that even I am fooled at times. I think, goodness me, is it really true that Donald Trump is not a peacemaker, that he's a war maker? That's the trouble. At the highest level, you can't tell the devil from God himself. You just can't tell the difference. And no doubt, if Trump watches this, he'll say, there's the devil. That's the way it is. Everything's the opposite to its opposite. And the way you know is that he's one of the richest men in the world. And I'm one of the poorest men in the world. And there you go. That's the difference between God and the devil. And so to have a system where the wealthy run the world is a complete lie, really. And even Rome wasn't run like that in the beginning. The highest level people in the Roman order, natural order of Rome, I forget the name, it doesn't come to me. The plebeians were their opposite. They were the highest caste, if you like, of Roman citizenship. And they also had to give up their wealth to be who they were, part of their priesthood, really. And so everything starts off right and ends up wrong. And the warrior class fights and then takes over. And then they want riches and wealth and so on. So that's what happened, really. And the same thing happened with the Catholic Church. The bishops, the Germans took over the Roman Empire and the Roman Catholic Church and wanted to appoint all their mates to be bishops in Britain, okay? And the British, this was in the 12th century, I think, 12th century, 1178. This, the British abbeys, Glastonbury Abbey, for example, is the greatest abbey in Britain. They fought back against this, but they were all thrown out. They tried to go and talk to the Pope, say, oh, we don't want Bishop Savaric, we don't want him to take it over. He's just a cousin of the Emperor. All he's bothered about is money. And that's what happened to them. They all got chucked out. And if they didn't toe the line, they were murdered, yeah. And the monks and the abbots wouldn't toe the line. And bishops took over, and that's why there's no abbots, no concept of abbot in Britain anymore, hardly. And I'm the only real abbot that's floating around, living in poverty, chastity and obedience. Chastity being one lady, my wife. Not doing the diddy, yeah. And not celibate either, because they all end up as homosexuals, as we've seen by the abuses in Ireland of the Catholic Church. So celibacy is not the answer. Celibacy for a time is okay, until you meet your divine partner. And then that's the end of celibacy. One lady for life. It's good. It's good. It's not all a big problem, yeah. I mean, there's nothing we can do about the world situation except watch it transform. And it's this long, slow process. And all we know is that if we're virtuous, we get to play the easy parts, the good parts. We don't have to go fighting, dying on the battlefield in Gallipoli. Yeah, we don't need to do that kind of thing. We won't be asked to do that by God. We're more valuable to God than just cannon fodder. But if your only thing that you're worthwhile for doing is cannon fodder, or maybe your children are, you know, God will take your children away and process them as cannon fodder, and you'll have to live with the consequences. Oh, my poor children, I made them and now look, there's nothing left of them. Yeah. Because you're traded on the stock market. You're a parasite to society. Every man has to answer for his own frugality, whether he made a difference in the world or not, whether he worked for God or whether he worked for the devil. And Bob Dylan wrote that song. What's it? may be ambassador to your friends. You may be a lawyer. You may like to dance. You may be the heavyweight champion of the world. You may be a socialite with a long string of pearls, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. Yes, indeed, you're gonna have to serve somebody. It may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. I'll leave you on that. Thanks very much.